While Iranian missiles were streaking across the sky above Palm Jumeirah, Dubai's biggest influencers were posting beach selfies. While the Burj Al Arab was on fire, they were filming cafe scenes and morning smoothies. And while ordinary people, tourists, maids, sailors, were being arrested for filming what was happening outside their own windows, an 18-year-old German girl launched a TikTok trend that reached millions of people. You live in Dubai, aren't you scared? No, because I know who protects us. The same video, the same format, posted by dozens of different accounts, some uploaded within seconds of each other. This is the story of the most sophisticated wartime propaganda operation you have never heard about. It happened in plain sight, on your phone, in your feed, and it was hiding something that the government of Dubai was prepared to imprison people for 2 years to keep you from seeing. To understand what Dubai did during this war, you need to understand what Dubai had spent 40 years building before it. Dubai has no oil wealth to speak of, no river, no natural port, no agricultural base. What it built instead was something far more valuable and far more fragile. A feeling, the feeling of safety, glamour, permanence. By 2025, Dubai had attracted a record 9,800 millionaires relocating there in a single year. $63 billion in private wealth flowed in. The DIFC was managing $1.2 trillion in assets. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, BlackRock, all operating major regional hubs in the same financial district. And powering the image of all of this, sitting right at the center of the marketing machine, was an army of influencers. In January 2026, just 6 weeks before the war started, Dubai hosted its annual 1 billion followers summit. YouTube's MrBeast attended, Will Smith attended, and at that same summit, the government quietly expanded its Golden Visa program specifically to major influencers, giving them 10-year residency, tax-free income, the ability to bring their families, in exchange, implicitly, for continuing to show the world that Dubai was exactly what Dubai said it was. The world's most glamorous city, the safest address on Earth, a place apart from the chaos surrounding it. Then on February 28, 2026, Iran fired the first of what would eventually be 438 ballistic missiles, 2012 drones, and 19 cruise missiles at targets inside the UAE. And Dubai had a choice to make. The choice Dubai made, and the speed with which it made it, tells you everything about how this city operates. Within hours of the first strikes, the UAE Attorney General issued a public warning. Photographing, publishing, or circulating photos and videos documenting incident sites was illegal. It could incite panic. It was against the law. Dubai police posted on social media, an account with over 2 million followers, that sharing content contradicting official announcements could lead to imprisonment of at least 2 years and fines of no less than 200,000 dirhams. That is roughly $55,000. At the same time, the near-identical influencer videos began appearing. You live in Dubai, aren't you scared? No, because I know who protects us. Dozens of accounts, same format, same message, some uploaded within seconds of each other. A timing pattern that BBC analysis flagged as suggesting coordinated activity. The first videos from Dubai showing panic, missiles overhead, people running, were replaced almost overnight by beach scenes, cafe content, and praise for UAE leadership. And then the arrests started. A 60-year-old British tourist filmed Iranian missiles from his window. He deleted the video immediately when authorities asked him to. He was still charged with cybercrime. A Filipina domestic worker was detained near the Burj Al Arab, not for posting anything, but for taking a photo while waiting for work. 3 survivors of a drone strike on their apartment building were allegedly arrested after privately sharing a photo with family members, just to confirm they were alive. A Vietnamese sailor on a cargo vessel filmed missile activity while outside UAE territory in international waters. The Coast Guard brought him ashore and detained him. A 28-year-old glamorous influencer was arrested after filming herself saying, and this is the line that got her arrested, "I'm scared." Meanwhile, an influencer with 300,000 followers who posted footage of explosions was simply asked to come to the police station, delete the video, and post a correction. Rada Sterling, CEO of Detained in Dubai, the organization that tracks and assists foreigners facing legal trouble in the UAE, described it in one word: Orwellian. "We have never seen people rounded up as they have in this current climate," she said. "Police turn up at your doorstep the next day and say, 'You were around this explosion yesterday. Can I have a look at your phone, please?'" Now here is where the story becomes genuinely remarkable, because the gap between what was being shown and what was actually happening was not just large, it was documented. Bellingcat, the open-source investigative organization that has verified evidence in conflict zones from Syria to Ukraine, published a detailed analysis of the discrepancy between official UAE accounts and observable satellite evidence. The Dubai media office attributed a fire at Jebel Ali port, the Middle East's largest, to debris from a successful interception. Satellite imagery from the same day showed fires at two separate locations approximately 3 kilometers apart inside the port. The New York Times separately identified one as caused by a direct Iranian strike. The Burj Al Arab fire, the one that sent smoke rising from Dubai's most iconic building on the morning of March 1st, was officially described as a limited fire caused by shrapnel from an intercepted drone. Footage showed the fire extended approximately 30 meters in height, covering approximately 8 floors. Researchers assessed the damage as more consistent with a direct impact. The Fairmont Hotel on Palm Jumeirah, struck by a drone on February 28th, was not acknowledged at all by the Dubai media office. Their statement referred only to an incident occurring in a building in the Palm Jumeirah area. While all of this was being officially managed, the Middle East tourism industry was losing at least $600 million per day in visitor spending. Dubai hotel occupancy had collapsed from 86% in January to as low as 15 to 20% in some areas by early March. Over 80% of international flights had been canceled. The financial district had emptied. But in the influencer feed, the smoothies were perfect and the pools were still open. The most telling detail in this entire story is a single statistic. In the month before the war, Dubai hosted the 1 Billion Followers Summit and gave golden visas to major influencers. During the war, Abu Dhabi police alone arrested 375 people for sharing information about the strikes. The total number of arrests across the UAE for social media violations during the conflict exceeded 500. Ordinary people arrested for saying they were scared. Influencers with millions of followers asked politely to post corrections. As Rada Sterling put it, the problem is these influencers are being nurtured as though they are members of the government. They are being treated as government staff with all the privileges. But here's what makes this story more complicated than a simple propaganda expose. Because there is a version of what Dubai did that is not entirely cynical. A city under missile attack has a genuine interest in preventing panic. Mass panic in a city of 4 million people, a third of whom are migrant workers with no legal status, no savings, and nowhere to go, is not a trivial risk. The argument that the government was managing information to prevent a humanitarian crisis on top of a security crisis is not unreasonable on its face. And the financial data underneath the official messaging told a story that the official messaging could not have manufactured. Despite the war beginning mid-quarter, Dubai's total property sales in Q1 2026 reached 176.7 billion dirhams, a 23.4% year-on-year increase. January 2026 alone recorded the single highest month of residential sales in Dubai real estate history. Commercial real estate saw a 69.2% year-on-year surge in value. Property viewing activities surged 75% in the final days of March as investors began positioning ahead of any ceasefire. The long-term institutional capital that matters most to a financial center did not flee Dubai during the war. It paused. And the moment the ceasefire was announced on April 7th, brokers reported immediate surges in inquiries. Deferred transactions began converting. The government deployed a $1 billion support package to keep the hospitality sector functioning. Emirates Airline kept flying to 125 countries throughout the conflict. The DIFC stayed open. In other words, beneath the propaganda, something real was also happening. Dubai was absorbing the war and preparing for the day after it with a speed and financial discipline that no amount of influencer content could have produced on its own. So the question is not whether Dubai lied. It did. The satellite imagery proves it. The arrest records prove it. The question is whether the lie worked, and whether what it was protecting was worth protecting. Here is what this moment actually reveals about Dubai, and it is bigger than the war. Dubai has always been two things simultaneously, and the tension between those two things has never been more visible than it is right now. The first Dubai is the city of attraction, the soft power machine, the place that converted a desert into a global financial center through sheer force of vision, execution, and the deliberate, systematic cultivation of the world's most powerful marketing tool, the belief that this place was different. The second Dubai is the authoritarian state underneath the glamour, the kafala system that ties migrant workers' legal status to their employers, the cybercrime laws that can imprison you for a photo taken in a public place. the influencer licensing system that ensures every major content creator is, to some degree, an asset of the state. Most of the time, these two Dubais coexist without friction. The glamour requires the control to remain glamorous. The control is made tolerable by the glamour. The war made both visible at exactly the same time. And what the world discovered is something that experts had always known, but rarely said plainly. As Cinzia Bianco of the European Council on Foreign Relations put it, this was Dubai's ultimate nightmare, not because of the missiles, but because of what the missiles forced the government to do. To choose in public between the open city it was selling to the world and the controlled state it needed to be to survive. It chose control, and it chose it fast, and it chose it comprehensively. Whether that was the right choice, whether Dubai emerges from this war with its financial foundations intact and its authoritarian crackdown quietly forgotten, depends on the next 6 months more than the last 40 days. What should you watch? Watch whether the institutional banks, Goldman, Citi, Standard Chartered, bring their staff back to the DIFC or begin quietly restructuring their regional presence away from Dubai. Watch the golden visa application pipeline, not approvals, applications. That leading indicator will tell you whether the world's wealthy still see Dubai as their exit option, or whether they have begun pricing in the reality that in Dubai, in a crisis, the authorities will show up at your door and ask to see your phone, and watch the influencer feeds. Because if they go back to smoothies and pool content within weeks of the ceasefire, that will tell you something important. Not about Dubai's safety, about how thoroughly the machine still works. There is something almost poetic about the image that started all of this. An 18-year-old girl, a TikTok trend, dozens of identical videos posted within seconds of each other. You live in Dubai, aren't you scared? She said she wasn't paid. She said she was genuinely expressing her faith in UAE leadership, and that may be completely true. The most effective propaganda is always the kind that the people delivering it genuinely believe. But 3 survivors of a drone strike on their apartment were arrested for sending a photo to their families. A British tourist who deleted his video on request was still charged. A Filipina maid was detained for taking a photo while waiting for work near the Burj Al Arab. The same city, the same crisis, completely different rules. It's depending on who you were and how many followers you had. That is the real story of Dubai in this war. Not the missiles, not the financial data, not the ceasefire. The story is what a city does when the image it has spent 40 years constructing is threatened. And what Dubai did, with speed, with precision, and with a complete absence of hesitation, was protect the image first. Whether the image was worth protecting is the question that will define this city's next chapter. The lights are back on in Dubai tonight. The influencers are back at the pool. But somewhere in a detention facility, a 60-year-old British tourist is still dealing with cybercrime charges for a video he deleted the moment he was asked. And the smoothies still look perfect.